Russia's new law, punishing online searches for extremist information. Imagine being penalized simply for wondering, a reality Russia's new internet law could enforce. Fresh legislation targeting those who seek out materials labeled extremist swiftly passed through the upper house of parliament, marking the latest step in state control over digital spaces. The law, which places monetary penalties of up to approximately $64 on convicted individuals, mirrors earlier resolutions against dissent. Now awaiting presidential approval, its impacts could reverberate widely. But here's where controversy ignites. The law's definition of extremism remains disturbingly vague. Authorities classify materials like opposition writings from the late Alexei Navalny's Anti-Corruption Foundation and even the international LGBT movement as extremist. Critics warn this broad brush could criminalize legitimate discourse and marginalize minority voices. The government defends the measure, insisting it targets only habitual seekers of banned content. Yet one pivotal question lingers unanswered. How will officials distinguish between casual searches and deliberate attempts to access outlawed material? Technological security versus digital freedom. Russians often bypass restrictions using VPNs to access blocked platforms, but authorities are intensifying their crackdown. The state communication watchdog employs updated methods to block VPN protocols, escalating a cat and mouse game between users and regulators. While policymakers claim ordinary internet users face no risks, concerns persist about overreach. Skeptics argue the law creates a chilling effect, discouraging people from exploring sensitive topics, even for academic or journalistic purposes. This legislative shift aligns with a broader pattern of suppressing dissent that accelerated after 2022. Since military actions began in Ukraine, independent media outlets and human rights organizations that faced shutdowns, forced closures, or the foreign agent label, a designation that typically leads to operational restrictions. Activists and critics now face criminal charges at unprecedented rates, signaling an environment where open debate is increasingly restricted. The full implications remain uncertain, but one aspect is clear. This law represents a critical juncture in balancing security and freedom. Advocates argue such measures protect national stability, while opponents warn they empower state overreach. As Russia tightens its digital grip, the world watches to see how citizens adapt and whether the law becomes a tool for targeting free expression. What's your sense? Do such laws serve national security, or do they undermine core liberties? Let us know below. Russia replaces WhatsApp and Telegram with Max. Internet ban harsher than drug laws. Imagine a world where accessing certain online content is considered more dangerous than using drugs. Starting September 1st, 2025, Russia is taking a dramatic step in this direction by banning popular apps like WhatsApp and Telegram, replacing them with a state-approved alternative called Max. Citizens caught viewing banned extremist materials will face fines, creating a climate of fear and self-censorship. On July 16th, President Vladimir Putin issued a series of presidential orders, including PR 1608, P1B2, which calls for additional restrictions on the use in the Russian Federation of software, including communication services produced in unfriendly foreign countries. Just 2 days later, on July 18th, the Duma began discussing legislation that would criminalize viewing items on the federal list of extremist materials, which now includes over 5,500 texts, websites, and works of art. These measures aim to fundamentally alter how Russians browse the internet and communicate. WhatsApp, owned by Meta, designated an extremist organization by the Kremlin in 2022, and Telegram, headquartered in the British Virgin Islands and operated in Dubai, are both considered communication services produced in unfriendly countries. With over 90 million users each, these platforms are among the most popular in Russia. According to Putin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, internet services must comply with Russian laws, which often means sharing user data with the authorities. The solution, as outlined in Putin's June 12th order, is to replace these services with Max, a new national multifunctional service developed by VK. Launched in June and promoted through bots and influencers, Max has attracted 2 million users and will be pre-installed on all phones sold in Russia from September 1st. St. Petersburg State University is the first organization to adopt Max for official business. While it is technically possible to bypass these restrictions using a virtual private network, VPN, only about half of Russian internet users had access to one. Many lack the technical knowledge or financial means to install a VPN, and even those who do face the risk of heavy fines and potential blocking. The situation is further complicated by the fact that the list of banned materials is constantly expanding, covering a wide range of content, from religious text to political ideologies. Perhaps the most alarming aspect of this legislation is the criminalization of merely viewing banned content. Political scientist Ekaterina Shulman notes that this directly contradicts Article 29 of the Russian Constitution, which prohibits censorship and guarantees the right to freely seek and use information. She points out that the restrictions on internet use are now stricter than those on drug use, where only possession and sale are illegal, not consumption. In the eyes of the state, uncensored information is seen as more dangerous than intoxicating substances. Currently, the penalties for viewing banned material are relatively minor, ranging from 3,000 to 5,500 rubles, approximately 33 euros to 60 euros. However, there is no guarantee that these fines won't increase, and the possibility of jail time remains a looming threat. The lack of clarity in how this legislation will be enforced adds to the uncertainty. State Duma Deputy Sergei Boyarsky claims the law will only target individuals with malicious intent. But distinguishing between nefarious plans and innocent curiosity is a challenging task. Even state propagandists are unsure how to navigate the new rules without inadvertently breaking the law. Mikhail Fishman, a journalist, predicts that these measures will create an atmosphere of fear, leading people to avoid using VPNs and even browsing the internet altogether. This self-imposed censorship may ultimately be the most effective form of control, as people become too afraid to seek out information. What do you think about these new regulations? Do you believe they will effectively control the spread of extremist content, or are they an overreach that stifles free expression? Share your thoughts in the comments below.